let's talk about something kind of counterintuitive, a little unsettling even. What if being a person of integrity doesn't always win you friends? What if sometimes it actually does the complete opposite?
I mean, have you ever felt that? That sudden chill from someone, that weird, unexplained distance? It's this awful feeling, right? It just leaves you replaying every conversation, wondering, what on earth did I do wrong?
Well, here's the twist, and it's a big one. The unsettling answer might just be you did absolutely nothing. What if the problem wasn't something you did, but something you are? And this brings us to a really fascinating idea we're calling the Tolstoy mirror. The concept is pretty simple. When you're living with true integrity, you essentially become a mirror. And for some people, the reflection you show them of themselves is one they just can't stand to look at. All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll dive into this idea of the unsettling mirror. Then, we'll get into the 3 big reasons this whole thing happens. And finally, we'll chart a course, a path to integrity, that helps you navigate it all. Okay, first things first, let's get one thing straight. A life of genuine conviction, a truly authentic life, is not designed to get universal applause. In fact, if everybody likes you, that might actually be a red flag that you're not being authentic at all. Just let this sink in for a minute. This quote suggests that a little bit of friction, that quiet resentment from somebody out there, isn't necessarily a sign that you failed. It could actually be a compass telling you that you're on the right path. So, what's the first reason this happens? Well, it's a big one. Your inner peace, your self-containment, can be incredibly triggering for other people. Just look at this contrast. On one side, you have someone who is self-contained. You're not desperate for validation, you keep your own counsel. But on the other side, you've got someone who's constantly compromising who they are just to feel like they belong. So when these two people meet, your quiet strength accidentally shines a spotlight on their inner struggle. And because looking at their own compromises is just too painful, they have to reframe your character to make it make sense. Your self-containment gets twisted into arrogance. The boundaries you hold are called distant. Your emotional stability is seen as just being unfeeling. At the end of the day, it's not really about you. It's about this. Your peace just makes the noise of their own internal conflict that much louder. And that leads us right into the second reason, which is all about what happens when you start to grow and evolve, especially when the people around you don't. People often love you when you're just dreaming about your goals. But the moment you start actually embodying that growth and making real changes, things can get weird. Your forward motion becomes that unwelcome mirror, forcing them to confront their own inaction. And this is where a basic human defense mechanism kicks in. Instead of feeling inspired, some people might just start to resent you. Why? Because it is so much easier to resent the mirror than to take a hard look at what it's reflecting. And see, your progress is never just a personal thing. It actually challenges this unspoken group agreement, this collective myth that just staying put is safe. By moving forward, you prove that that myth is a lie. Okay, on to our third and maybe the most subtle reason of all. This one is about the quiet power of just being genuine in a world that so often runs on social performance. Think about it, so many people get through the day by wearing masks. They act agreeable when they're not, they manufacture enthusiasm, but then you show up, just sincere, unperformed. And your simple authenticity makes their act feel fragile and, frankly, exhausting. And this is when you start hearing those labels, right? You're too intense or too serious. You're just too much. But often, these are just code words. What they're really saying is, you make my act so much harder to keep up. It all boils down to this. Sincerity is genuinely frightening to people who rely on pretense to get by. Your realness feels like a threat to the comfortable fictional world they've built. So, knowing all of this, what do we do? What's the path forward? Well, it's not about becoming a jerk or isolating yourself. It's about finding this balance, being grounded, kind, but absolutely unwavering. And this is a really, really important point. This whole idea is not a license to be arrogant. It's not a free pass to say, well, they just can't handle me. It's about finding that middle road, a path of integrity that's very different from superiority or loneliness. So, how do we actually walk this path? Well, here are 3 steps. Step 1, stop explaining your piece. You don't have to negotiate your boundaries just to get temporary approval. Step 2. Build your inner foundation so strong that what other people think becomes less destabilizing. And step 3. Allow their misunderstandings. Let them get it wrong. Let them project. It's okay to let some relationships fade.
So let's totally reframe this whole experience. You're not being rejected. Something true about you is simply being revealed. Their discomfort isn't a signal that you need to fix yourself. It's actually evidence that you are living in true alignment with your own path.
And here's the beautiful paradox in all of this. Your integrity starts to act like a filter. Yeah, it might push some people away, but it's going to draw the right people in. People who will respect you profoundly for exactly who you are, no performance needed. And that leaves us with one last question to really think about. If you spend your whole life twisting and contorting yourself to be understood by everyone, who really understands you at the end of the day? Chasing that universal approval means you risk losing the connection with the one person you have to live with forever, yourself. Your path was never meant for everyone, and that's not a failure. That is the entire point.